Skip has repeatedly said Brady is the GOAT, but Shannon, you've said several times on this show that Aaron is actually the better quarterback. So how much would a head-to-head playoff win against TB12 help Rodgers' GOAT case?
Skip, it would help immensely. You're talking about, and also, we all believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to win the regular season MVP. So that would be three regular season MVPs. And then when you combine that, if he were to get to and win the Super Bowl, that would be a very, very small room in which you have a player with 3 regular season MVPs and at least 2 Super Bowl MVPs. That would be Peyton Manning, has 5 and 2. That would be Tom Brady, that has 6 and 3. So Aaron Rodgers would also be in that room. And so, Skip, that's a very small room, because when you start trying to decide GOAT, okay, how many people are in the room to start? And as we move to the right, Skip, how many do we start dropping off as we move those guys? And so this would mean a lot. And to do it, and to get this game against Tom Brady, Skip, normally we don't see matchups like this. What made Peyton and Brady's matchup so special, Skip, one was trying to keep the other from the Super Bowl. So we got an opportunity to see them play on a regular occurrence. Normally, we wouldn't have an opportunity to see this unless it was in the Super Bowl. So now we get an opportunity to see Brady Manning, but it's Brady Rodgers, because somebody's going to keep the other from reaching their ultimate destination. And to win 3 regular season MVPs and multiple Super Bowls, Skip, like I said, it's a very, very short list. And that's the knock against Rodgers. Yeah, he's great. The numbers you look at, less than 100 interceptions with more than 400 touchdown passes. So you're like, wow, look at this, and the statistics is blow you away. The quarterback rating blows you away. But he only has 1 Super Bowl. So, Shannon, well, how great is he? And I think that's the thing, that when we look at great players, how many championships do they coincide with it? And plus, Skip, we haven't had a Super Bowl winning. Write this down, hold on. The last regular season MVP to win the Super Bowl in the same season, Kurt Warner, 1999. Skip, that's a long, long time, ain't it? So if he could cap this with a MVP season with a Super Bowl, and we believe, Skip, if the Packers win the Super Bowl, he'll be the MVP. It will be a historic season. It'll be his greatest season. 48 and 5 touchdown passes to cap that off. So, Skip, it would go a long, long way. He would have had to do it against Brady. He couldn't do it against Breeze, because it wouldn't have. Breeze is great, but it wouldn't. I don't believe it would have the same significance as doing against Tom Brady.
So, let me nail this down before I launch on it. You are leaning towards saying if Aaron Rodgers beats Tom Brady head-to-head, he will have a very strong case that he is the GOAT.
I believe he's a better quarterback. Now, GOAT status is going to probably take him another Super Bowl, but I believe he's a better quarterback. See, Skip, I believe 2 things are operating here. Brady is the more accomplished. I believe Rodgers is a better player. That's just me.
Okay, this is just me. I would like to apologize publicly to Tom Brady for doing this topic on the show. I don't know who comes up with these questions. I'm embarrassed. I'm humiliated for the sake of our show that we're having to do this. No. But again, you have made this case. You have leaned toward this case for the 4 years I've worked with you.
Yeah, we're going to be 5 in September.
We're coming up on 5 years. And all I know is I just wish this is going to be an epic battle. And I wish our network, Fox, would promote this, would tease this as GOAT versus phony GOAT.
No, it ain't that true.
Aaron Rodgers is even a phonier GOAT than LeBron is to Jordan. I can at least sort of stomach your LeBron case, because at least he has won 4 championships, lost 6, but he's won 4.
Right.
Aaron's played in 1 championship game in his life, and it was 10 years ago, and he did win it. Give you that. So he's 1-0.
About to play another one in 2 weeks.
Okay, well, he may well do that because he is favored to win up on his frozen tundra. This has been his lifelong career dream. I want 1 championship game at Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
And all Devontae talks about every time he opens his mouth, he's talking about how the visiting team will not be able to open their mouths in the cold because it's so cold you can't even speak to each other.
Right.
Okay, so you got what you wanted. They are favored by around 4-ish points. I give you that. They should win this game. But at this moment, as we speak, I'm sorry, it is laughable and insulting to Tom Brady that we're even talking about this, because think about what this man has just achieved. You could argue it's the greatest achievement of his GOAT career. All he did was get pushed out the back door in New England by the quote-unquote GOAT coach. That's way overrated, who just got exposed, Bill Belichick. And he said, I think I'll go to Tampa. And the NFL world said, you what? You're going to Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers, who have the worst winning percentages of franchise in all of sports for their life?
But what did Pro Football Focus say about their receiving core?
Okay, but again,
that's what he benefits from.
2 Pro Bowl receivers last year, but with those 2 Pro Bowl receivers, they went 7-9.
Right.
And as a team, they led the NFL in giveaways, in turnovers, right?
Yes.
And they led the NFL in penalties.
Yes.
And Tom said, watch this. And he turned them into one of the more efficient offenses. And guess who has the best turnover differential in all of football as we speak right now? How about the Buccaneers? Tom Brady just did that. He went down there, and I keep telling you, it took all year long, but he finally got it. He brought it to a boil right on schedule in December. He turned the Buccaneers into the Patriots. He instilled and installed the Patriot way in Tampa Bay. And all of a sudden, they're starting to look Patriot-like as they go up to Lambeau Field to play in, you're kidding, the NFC Championship game? He did that. He's 43 years of age, and he lifted that franchise. He transformed that franchise from losers into winners. And are they a threat to win this game? You better believe they're a threat to win this game on both sides of the ball. And he taught all those receivers, you are going to have to sacrifice your Pro Bowls, because they got no Pro Bowlers,
right,
for us to get to the promised land, because the Super Bowl this year is in our building. It's at our stadium. No, it's never happened before that a home team played in a Super Bowl, and I'm sure that was the carrot that Brady dangled in front of all their noses all year long. We could be the first team ever to do this.
Right.
And they're right on schedule, and they got a shot. Your team is favored, and it should win. But when you step back from this, the only case you can make for Aaron Rodgers is he's the cooler thrower of the football. He's the flashier thrower. I don't think he's the better thrower of the football.
It's not even close.
Hey, it is, because it's not close, because Brady's a better thrower of the football.
Not a better thrower.
He throws a much more catchable pass.
No, he doesn't.
I think he's more accurate than Aaron Rodgers.
That's not what the numbers say, Skip.
He throws the prettiest pass I have ever seen, and he just keeps throwing it, and he has lost nothing at 40. He is 43 going on 23.
He is 43, Skip, and he had an unbelievable season. He played better than I thought he would. The guys bought into it. Mike Evans had to sacrifice. Goodwin had to sacrifice. There are a lot of sacrifices that need to be made in order for you to be a championship team. But that's not to take anything down. I want people to understand, just because you're sacrificed, that doesn't mean you can't be a Pro Bowl receiver and make it to the Super Bowl. Okay. This notion that you can't be that. Jerry went every year that every team he ever played on, he went to the Super Bowl. And he sacrificed nothing. Michael Irvin went every year they won the Super Bowl, he was in the Pro Bowl. So that doesn't necessarily mean you have to sacrifice. But you also have to understand is that sometimes we're going to have to run the ball, sometimes we have to throw it to someone else, and you have to be willing to understand that. So I get your point on that side.
But I get your point on Aaron is just cooler. Tom is not cool. You go crazy. It like turns your stomach to see some of his social posts, because they're lame, they're nerdy, they're beneath his dignity. You're like, who's that? You can't be a franchise quarterback. You can't make a case you're the GOAT when you post the way you post those silly things on social media.
Skip, when you look at it, the guy he's the only quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, with 3 40 touchdown passing season, and he's never had double-digit interceptions in those seasons. Skip, that's ridiculous.
Okay, well, here's what's ridiculous to me. Aaron Rodgers has made it to 4 championship games, obviously all NFC, since he's been in Green Bay.
Yes.
And go look at his QBRs in those 4 games. He won 1 out of 4. Mm-hmm. 1 out of 4? Wow. So in those 4 games, the only one he won was when Jay Cutler got stuck on the bicycle because he had, some sort of knee injury. I'm still not sure what it was, but it was badly sprained. I think it was like a grade 1 sprain. And he wound up the whole second half at Chicago, because they had the home play, the NFC Championship game, riding the bike in the second half as Caleb Haney replaced him. And Aaron Rodgers almost coughed up that one, but managed to survive. And if you look at his QBRs for the 4 games, the next one was at Seattle. All of them have been on the road, obviously. At Seattle, at Atlanta, and then last year at San Francisco. His average QBR for those 4 games has been 58. Yeah. That's just a little above average because he's been mostly average in those games, and he's 1-3 in those games.
But if you look at his defense has been below average in those games. You look at the games that he's lost. You look at last year, San Francisco, how many points did his defense give up? If you look at the year they lost to Atlanta, how many points did his defense give up? Granted, Aaron Rodgers could have played a lot better in some of those ball games.
Last year at San Francisco, he had a QBR of 23 because he coughed it up. Twice on interceptions, once on a lost fumble.
Yeah, I mean, you see what happens when Brady's defense give up 30 points? They lose Super Bowls.
So Tom Brady in championship games, obviously in the AFC, is 9-4. If you just look at their overall playoff records, Aaron has that one road run to a Super Bowl, right?
Yes.
Won it with 4 straight wins, 3 on the road, 1 neutral site.
Right.
And including that, he's 11-8 in the playoffs. 11-8. Tom is 32-11 in the playoffs.
But let me ask you a question, Skip. Prior to this year, how many road playoff wins had Tom Brady had of those 32?
Okay, fair enough. But since that Super Bowl run, Aaron Rodgers is 7-7 in the postseason.
Right.
32-11. Again, he won a lot of games in the AFC East, so it gave him a lot more home games. But that's a 74% winning percentage. Yeah. He's won 74% of his playoff games, while Aaron has won 58% of his playoff games. And you can talk defense all you want to me that Tom had the better defense, Tom had the better defense.
Did he not?
Did Tom have the better supporting cast on offense? Because I think you're seeing Bill Belichick get exposed right on schedule. It's what I've been trying to tell you for 5 years on this show.
So if you don't mind me asking, Skip, if you're saying defense doesn't really matter, why do you...
No, I'll give you slight edges on defense, although over the last 3 or 4 years, that has started to decline.
Let me ask you a question. The greatest passing performance in postseason history, who has that?
Well, Tom Brady does.
And why didn't he win that game?
Because Belichick's defense gave up 41 points to the backup quarterback.
Thank you. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's why I said in the last 4 years, that started to go way south.
Yeah.
Because in that game, Belichick inexplicably, mysteriously, didn't play Malcolm Butler the whole game, who had played the most snaps of any player on his defense, and I still don't know what happened, and I think Tom Brady will never forgive or forget that one.
Well, I think Aaron Rodgers' defense gave up 40 points to Atlanta in that championship game.
Okay.
Skip, this is what Aaron Rodgers, and you mentioned it, he's talked about this basically from the beginning of the season. Aaron Rodgers believes that had I had more NFC Championship games at Lambeau, I would have more appearances than the Super Bowl. So now this is his opportunity. This is what he's talked about. Tom Brady got out of New England and says, I do not have the weapons, I do not have the people around me to get to and compete for Super Bowls. That's all I'm judged by. That's all I care to play up. I don't care about stats. I don't care about 500-600 passing touchdowns. I don't care about 80,000 passing yards. Super Bowls is what drives this man. And he realized he did not have the talent. Coach Belichick could no longer shop for the grocery and give him a menu that could go out there and he would like. Okay. So he's like, I'm loading up. Like Jed Clamper did, Skip, he loaded up the truck and moved to Beverly Hills. He loaded up the truck and headed south. And he landed in Tampa. So there's a lot of pressure on Tom Brady as Aaron Rodgers because Tom Brady left Coach Belichick for one reason. It wasn't just to get away. It was to get away and win, to show I can win without you.
Okay, but Belichick clearly wanted to show I can win without him.
Yeah, they wanted to show they...
Okay, all right,
yes.
So I got that. But this is the only way I will ever compare Bill Belichick to Michael Jeffrey Jordan. They're similar in team building because Michael Jordan, I hate to even have to talk about this, but I always do, as a GM in Charlotte, he's proving to be the worst in the history of the league. They are an atrocity.
Yes.
In team building.
I thought you were going to say they were the same in ruthlessness.
No, well, that I'll give you that.
Because they are pretty callous, Skip.
All right, but Belichick is getting more and more exposed as a team builder because he did give Tom Randy Moss for a minute.
Right.
He had him for a minute.
Right.
It was really just the 2007 run
Right.
because then Randy started to unravel right after that.
Right.
So I will give you that one. But after that, you start comparing help on offense. Well, look who Aaron has had. These are Pro Bowl receivers starting with our man Greg Jennings and Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson and obviously Devontae over the last 4 years.
Skip, the thing that Coach Belichick, the reason why Coach Belichick doesn't get more criticism for his team building, because what? He hit on Brady, he hit on Gronk.
Okay.
And you see what came out of that. You talking about 6. So, Skip, I don't care what else happened.
Did he hit on Brady or luck into Brady in the 6th round? Do you think it was because of him? Was it his call? They say one of the scouts pushed for Tom Brady.
Skip, the way I look at it, I don't know if you play this, but I think the Powerball is about $850 million. Mm-hmm. Whether I pick the numbers or they give it to me by quick pick. If I get all 6 of those numbers, I'm going to pick that check up.
Okay.
So
and
Coach Belichick is saying...
He got all 6 of the numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
He did. He got all 6. And that man not only became the greatest quarterback to me, but he became the greatest leader. And he was able to rise above Belichick and allow Belichick to be completely, to me, out of control as a head coach because he got to coach however he wanted.
Right.
If it was his way or the highway, and if he didn't like your act, he sent you packing because he could get away with it because he had the GOAT quarterback.
You're exactly right. Because if one time, if Brady would have ever bucked at anything Coach Belichick said or done, then you'd have had other guys doing it. But Skip, if that guy stays in line, as accomplished as he is, and as financially set as he is, as he stay in line, how can anybody else get out of line? You've heard guys say when they go try to get a contract with Coach Belichick, and the first thing he said, well, Brady makes this. We can't pay you more than Brady.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So if Brady would have said, I need $30 million to stay, then everybody else's salaries could have gone up.
Okay, but he didn't.
He did not.
Okay, so I'm back to my only point that I give you. If you want to talk about box office appeal, Aaron's got it. Because even I'm fascinated watching him because to me, from what I know about this game and about playing that position, he has the worst footwork of any quarterback I've ever watched, and it does not matter. It actually adds to his mystique because everything is off balance. It's like...
Yeah, it's unbelievable the way you throw the ball.
The release is so quick, but the footwork is horrendously bad. Nobody would teach it or coach it or allow it, except his arm talent is so supreme that he gets away with it. But in leadership, which is about, I'm going to say a third of that position because it is the leadership position to me in all of sports, I will take Brady 100 times over 100 Aaron Rodgers.
I think this Aaron Rodgers over the last couple of years in leadership compared to the old Aaron Rodgers are totally different. And you're probably right, Skip. I just think the thing is now, I see a different Aaron Rodgers in terms of leadership.
Maybe he got a little humbled by 2 things. There was that huge Bleacher Report bombshell about his lack of leadership and how he was called out internally by the people at the top. And that he was even cut out of the hiring process for Matt LaFleur, that he was informed over the phone, hey, we have gone this direction. And the quote was in the piece, which was denied at the top, but it was, don't you be the problem going forward.
And what would he do, Skip? If somebody made a mistake, he would show them up. I see less of that now. That's something that the other guys, wouldn't.
Yeah, that.
I see less of that now, Skip. I don't see that anymore.
All right, I'll buy that. I think he has realized that as he gets into his middle 30s and he's starting to think about 40, that all that really matters anymore is what has always mattered to the guy up in Foxborough, which is you got to figure out how to go win another Super Bowl.
See, the thing that happened to Brady, Skip, that doesn't happen to most, it happened to Mahomes, is that when you have that type of success early, you see, Rodgers had to wait a minute. First of all, he had to sit the bench for 3 years, and then it took him another 3 years to win the championship. Well, when you have the success that Brady had so early, only thing else matters. So what else is there, Skip? You've already climbed Kilimanjaro and Everest. In your first 4 years, you had 3 Super Bowls. So what the hell else is there to play for? Ain't no Pro Bowl, no All-Pro better than that.
You could play for stats. You could try to put up big numbers. You could try to throw 1 million touchdown passes and make your record unbreakable.
But here's the thing.
He doesn't care about that.
But he knows that the way they changed the game, the guys who skip, you see guys that would have never thrown for 25 touchdowns in a season, throwing for 35, 40 touchdowns in a season. So he's like, the record that I know will be unbreakable, let me get 6, 7, 8, 9 of these things. Go get that.
Go get that. So what he did in the end was, after Randy Moss, he was stuck with what I used to tell you. It's like he went out before every game and pointed up in the stands, you 3 guys from Dorchester, just come on down here, and you'll be my receivers, because it was a lot of Edelmans and Amendolas and Hogans.
Yes.
And he won Super Bowls with those guys for a while until he finally said, you know what? Now that I am free, I'm 43, I think I'll go pick those 2 guys who made the Pro Bowl.
Right.
And I'll see if Gronk will come out of retirement, come with me, because he's made a bunch of Pro Bowls. And Cameron Brayton is pretty good, right?
Is, yes.
And all of a sudden,
very good route running.
You talk Antonio. We don't know if Antonio's going to be able to play this time, but he's obviously a big-time receiver. You come on down.
Skip, maybe the only difference between Tom Brady 3, 4 years ago than now is that he needs a little more help to get the job done. Now, he just can't take those guys, as you say, from Dorchester. He can't take those guys and make them championship contender. He needs a Mike Evans. He needs a Godwin. He needs a Cameron Brate, where he was taking. Hell, I can't even name a lot of the tight ends in his early years in the Super Bowl. I think he had Daniel Graham, and he had
Christian Fourier.
And dude went to Duke. It slips my name. Ben Watson.
Yeah.
He had Ben Watson.
Well, he had him last year.
Yeah.
He had him at 39.
And I think, but his first Super Bowl, I think he had Andrew Wiggins. I don't know who people remember him, but Skip, he's done it with lesser tier. But as you age, you need more help. So he got that in Tampa. He knew, Skip, we would not be talking about Tom Brady today had he stayed in New England.
He is the ageless wonder. And I think he has slammed shut his GOAT case by what he just did in Tampa Bay.
If he had gotten New England, that roster, to the AFC Championship game, that would have been his crown of achievement, Skip. With that roster, with them tight ends, like you said, you can't even
Matt Lacoste. Ryan Izzo.
The only Lacoste I know is Rene Lacoste, the Izod shirt. That's the only Lacoste I know, Skip.
Except that's S-T-E. This is S-S.
It's S.
Okay.
So,
yes, thank you.
No.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.